Wow, some bright lights here today. Well, I appreciate everybody for coming. My name is Dr. K, and today I'm going to be talking about Quai Network. So, what is Quai Network? Quai Network is a high performance EVM network capable of 50,000 plus transactions per second. It also has a first of its kind native energy dollar. Just some quick stats about our community. We have almost 500,000 community members at this point, 60 plus ecosystem projects building on us. And a couple of our partners include Rarible, Akash, Portal, and IONET. In terms of who's working on dominant strategies, we have people with experience from Apple, Consensus, Circle, Kraken, and Ava Labs, as well as the University of Texas. And what problem are we exactly trying to solve with Quai Network? What we have seen in crypto is there's been exactly three product market fits within crypto, but they still have challenges with sort of truly meeting the needs and use cases. So we've seen Bitcoin show that there's a demand for store of value. We've seen Ethereum show that there's a demand for programmable assets. And we've seen the likes of Tether and USDC show that there's demand for stable tokens. Now, in each one of these categories, we have an issue. Specifically with store of value, you have an unsustainable security budget in the long term. With things like Ethereum, we have consensus mechanisms that don't scale to really service consumer facing applications at a global level. And with things like USDC, we have a system that's built on top of an unsustainable and fragile traditional fiat monetary system. So, what are we trying to do with Quai Network? I think first we should talk about what our foundational beliefs are about crypto's future to understand the choices that we're making and why we're making those choices. So, we believe that there can be a scalable blockchain that abstracts complexity and provides a homogeneous settlement network for digital value. We believe that this system needs a dollar equivalent that's not tied to fiat currencies. We believe that this blockchain needs to be able to scale to more than 50,000 transactions per second so that it can accommodate real world consumer level demand. This blockchain can then service native financial instruments by providing a programmable monetary layer. And we also believe that the only known mechanism to create a credibly neutral, decentralized system is proof of work. So, what are we doing at Quai to make all of these things a reality? We have a new architecture, we have a new consensus mechanism. So, we're creating a new paradigm in blockchain consensus. So, we use a horizontal in addition to vertical scaling techniques to improve blockchain performance. So instead of just focusing on how much throughput we can get in a single chain, we've actually been the first proof of work network that has shown that we can shard things so we have a horizontal scaling access. So instead of just having a single shard to push throughput through, we can actually increase the number of shards in the system dynamically with demand so that the blockchain can keep scaling as applications grow from proof of concepts all the way through to consumer level applications. So what this gets us is this gets us 50,000 plus transactions per second. It gets us sub penny fees today, tomorrow, and in 10 years. And it also gets us an EVM compatible system. And the mechanism that we're doing this is a new mechanism. So it's a new architecture. So we have this hierarchy of merge mined blockchains that allows us to parallelize transaction processing and a true state sharded network in each one of those chains. This allows us to reduce the total bandwidth in compute. And we've proven that this architecture can do 7,000 TPS and a 9 shard topology. Now, the interesting thing is we can actually accommodate up to 255 shards, which means the total network throughput cap is somewhere around 250,000 transactions per second. And this approach is uniquely to Quai Network, if we look at something like a Monad or a Say, what they're trying to do is create a modular architecture to optimize throughput in a single chain. We also do the same tricks that they're doing in a single chain, but we're also allowing that to have replication and sharding in the network. So the cool part about our network too is that we actually have an algorithmically adjusting topology. So what the network can do is it actually measures its performance, and it does this via measuring the uncle rate. And if there's sustained demand for transactions at a sufficiently high uncle rate, the network can actually identify that the market is demanding greater throughput. When that happens, the system itself automatically adds another shard. So without any sort of human intervention, the chain measures its own performance and then adds shards dynamically to adapt to increasing demand. And this is the mechanism by which we can guarantee that pricing maintains a relatively consistent price point with time. So the other thing that I mentioned earlier is what we call an energy dollar. So one of the great product market fits of crypto is stable tokens. Right now, about 70% of value transmitted on blockchains is done so through stable tokens. The issue that we run into, though, is that these stable tokens are on top of blockchains that can't scale. So what ends up happening in something like Ethereum, they're hard to use transactionally because there's a $15 fee. And even in Tron, you have a $4 transfer fee, and even in BNB Smart Chain, it's almost a dollar. So the question is, can we create a stable token alternative that also has low enough fees that can be guaranteed in perpetuity so that you can create a transactional uh, monetary system on a blockchain? And we really think that this is sort of the Achilles heel of crypto. When we create a stable token in a decentralized system like Ethereum, what we're actually doing is we're taking what was a decentralized system and we're making it have a dependency on a centralized system, i.e., the banks and the traditional fiat monetary system. And we saw with SVB and Silvergate that when there's stress in the banking network, it causes even things like USDC to break the buck. With our next gen stablecoin alternative, i.e., our energy dollar, what we aim to do is decentralize the concept of a stable reference point using proof of work as an oracle. So the miners themselves can tell us something about the price of energy via how they choose to economically participate in the system, which allows us to create a link between electricity and the value of this energy dollar. And the way that we do that is through the miners. So the miners are these non-intermediated stablecoin alternative sort of producers. And we do this by effectively creating a mechanism that incentivizes them to create chi when it's profitable and not to create chi when it isn't profitable. But what this does for us, it actually creates a native stablecoin in the system that's linked to the price of energy. We don't have exchange dependencies. We don't have Oracle dependencies. We just use the mining that's going to secure the system in a way that allows us to derive this energy related token. And the point of this is so that we can have a payments rail that can be used for global payments. It's censorship resistant. We have consistently low fees, and we also are imbuing it with cash-like characteristics. So unlike account-based systems which leak effectively all user privacy into the world, with Chi, we're introducing this on a UTXO ledger with fixed denominations, which allows us to have cash-like properties even though it's all on chain. And then some people might ask the question of why are we using energy as a referential unit? We believe that energy is the most fundamental unit in the economy. And we're not the first ones to think this. Energy money was actually proposed almost 100 years ago by the likes of Henry Ford, Buckminster Fuller, and Thomas Edison. And what we believe that we can do by creating a numeraire linked to the price of energy is we can create a native unit of account With the properties of using UTXO and having cash like properties, we can achieve a medium of exchange. And then when we couple this with the Quai token with deflationary characteristics, we can create a store of value. So instead of just creating a cryptocurrency or a blockchain, what we're really aiming to do is create a digital, distributed, decentralized monetary system that can replace our current fiat based system. And some people might ask, is energy a good unit if we're trying to make a unit of account? And this graph right here is just comparing the volatility between the US dollar and the Canadian dollar pair relative to electricity prices over a 25-year period. And what you can see is that the volatility of energy prices is significantly lower than the volatility of a major currency pair, i.e., USD and Canadian dollars. So we believe that by linking the value of the Qi token to the price of energy, we'll create a consistent unit of account that has roughly consistent purchasing price parity over time. And what are some of the catalysts for dollar or the energy dollar growth? What we have seen is that people want fiat alternatives. If you're in emerging markets and you're subject to inflationary nation state currencies, people are using crypto as a replacement. The problem is they're using it as an offshore account because the existing crypto systems can't actually be used transactionally. So they're still dependent on custodians, they're still dependent on exchanges, and they still have to go back into their nation state currencies to actually do transactions. But what this is also indicative of is that people want a standard unit of value. And if crypto systems are going to take off and be used broadly, you need that to be endogenous in the blockchain. Um, and then people also want native risk off assets. So if Bitcoin was sort of the penultimate thing in the financial world, we wouldn't need stable tokens on a blockchain. But what we're seeing, because over 70% of value is transmitted in stable tokens, people are demanding stable tokens in the crypto world. And with that, I think I'll do one more slide. Yeah. So, kind of what is our go to market? Our go to market is trying to deliver utility to people that nobody else can deliver. We aren't playing the game at Quai Network of trying to buy developers and buy flash in the pan applications. We can do specific things for specific people that nobody else can do, and we're focusing on developing those partnerships. One example of that is Rarible. Rarible is trying to use NFTs and sell that into the Web2 environment. The problem is if I go to Web2 business and you have 1,000x fluctuation in pricing over a year, no one can commit to building a system on Web3 if they don't know what their costs are. So the fact that we can dynamically scale with demand means that we can have pricing that's consistent today, tomorrow, and 5 years, which allows Web2 businesses to commit to building on a Web3 platform. The other one I'll highlight here is that we have a partnership with IONet and one we're imminently announcing with Kosh. And basically, with the energy dollar a la Chi, we actually have a good synergy with AI deepen in compute projects because we can effectively become the last bidder for compute resources that go into our mining when people can't get AI-related compute jobs. And then the last thing I'll just touch on here, this is from our last testnet. We had over 2,000 nodes participate in our last testnet. We had over 1 billion total transactions. We had almost 6,000 GPUs participate. We have announced our next testnet and our final testnet, which is feature complete when we're going to market. That starts October 15th, and it's incentivized to mine. It's incentivized to earn money. Basically, the tokens that you get in our Golden Age testnet will pro rata convert into mainnet tokens. So it's actually like an economically open and complete test of the entirety of the system. Cool. Thanks, everybody.